Hello, everybody. Today we cover the second part of the grammar of lesson 30 and we'll dive right into it, starting with the vocabulary, because again, the vocabulary is quite a lot in this lesson. Susu, boy or young of animals. So cheyang, purity, an abstract noun coming from suchi with the suffix eyang. So suchi, pure, cheyang, purity. Adjectives: angirasa or angirasi, it's feminine, radiant. Achankusa, beyond the hook, meaning an ankusa is an elephant hook, and here when an elephant is in rut, it is defying the hook. Anecha, imperturbable. Apaka, little. PPP, apitapta, overheated or exhausted by heat. Abhiyogin, expert or proficient. Abhirukta, resounding with. Amata, deathless. And as a neuter noun, immortality. So it stands for the ambrosia, the drink of the immortals according to the Brahmanical myth. In this latter sense, with metonymy, the word is used by Buddhists as a poetic synonym for nibbana. So here, according to Buddhists, the gods are not immortal. Liberation from existence, from transmigration, however understood, means no more dying. Amma, meaning not mine, not possessive and or unselfish. Ayuta, the PPP, full of, coming from ayu, to mix. Uttama, highest. Upagatin, harming. Usuka, eager. Ekodi, concentrated. We know, for example, ekodi bhava, which is a synonym of ekaggata, so this one-pointedness or this unification. Etadisa, this sort of. Kankin, from kanka, doubt, so doubting or in doubt. Kovida, learned, knowing thoroughly. Gihin, house dwelling, one living in a house. This word comes from giha, which is a synonym of gaha and geha, all of which come from Sanskrit griha. Since we don't have the ri, which in Sanskrit is a vowel, in Pali, therefore we have to substitute it with either i, a, or e in this word, which explains the variations of giha, gaha, and geha, all of which meaning house. Jalin, net-like. Buddhas and other great men, meaning emperors, are said to have net-like hands and feet, amongst other extraordinary bodily marks. Therefore, fingers are straight and of equal length, giving the impression of network. Dasanea, beautiful, so a future passive participle or gerundive, to be seen or to be worthy of seeing. Nipaka, wise. Parikkaha, possessing. Pakima, fruitful, ripening. Piyadasana, lovable sight, whose appearance inspires affection, oftentimes a name for certain people. Puppa, before, former. Porima, former, earlier. Pulla, blossoming or blossomed. Bogin, possessing or enjoying, coming from boga, and possessive adjective. So boga meaning possession or can also mean enjoyment. Maya, a suffix, consisting of or made of, for example, manomaya, meaning mind made, consisting of mind, or even mental. Missa, which itself should also be a PPP, mixed. Yes, from misseti, the causative verb. Moga, false, erroneous, excluded. Ruchida, splendid. Vaku, soft, especially of sounds. Vara, excellent or good. Vama, lovely. Vichya, this is a gerund. Inscrutable, this meaning is probably correct, but the form uncertain. Which comes from a gerund vichinati. Vidda, kind of or manner or fold, for example, dvivda, twofold, tividda, threefold, and so on. Vimala, free from dirt, so mala, dirt, and then vimala is panjami, or a negative panjami, or Chatti Bahubihi, Visachi, sidelong or furtive, I'm not entirely furtive, like meaning secretive, not entirely sure how to pronounce this word. Vedya, known, and as a noun, a thing known or information. Vedita, wavy, Satcha, true, Samatha, intoxicated, maddened, Subkumara, delicate, Sukuma, fine, subtle, as an opposite of Olarika, and then Sukuma, Olarika meaning coarse, Suchavi, pleasant to the skin, Chavi, skin, Sudasana, beautiful, Sumedasa, very intelligent, Sedaka, sweating, a few past passive participles, Abhipattita, yearned for, Abhiratta, enjoying, taking pleasure in, Avyakata, unexplained, undetermined, indeterminate, Gattita, tied, Gasta, devoured, Danta, tamed, restrained, Pasarta, stretched out, frank, open, Piayita, a denominative from Pia, held dear and or beloved, Purakata, facing on front, Visarta, spread, staring, and a few gerunds, Uhacha, from Uhanati or Ohanati, having knocked out, Chavia, having passed away, Patva, having attained, future passive participle, Rama, delightful, from Ramati, pronoun tat, that, the, is the same thing as that, or the. Indeclinables, ahe, meaning are, as in I forgot myself what it is called. Interjection, it should be called. Yes, interjection. Eva, an enclitic, like, u, an emphatic enclitic particle added to other indeclinables, thus atta plus u becomes atto, kasma, why or wherefore, pratta, formally, samatang, completely or perfectly, and a few prefixes, atti, meaning very or exceedingly. This is prefixed to adjectives in poetry, du or dur, meaning hard or difficult, su, meaning very, prefix to adjectives in poetry. Okay, let's scroll back to the grammar. Let me just summarize this a bit here. So in general, the canon contains 15,000 to 20,000 verses. They are mostly collected in books consisting entirely or almost entirely of verse, but some are scattered about in prose texts. Do like this. Twofold linguistic features we have. So we have, on the one hand, we have poetic license, which I tagged with BL, and archaic forms which I tagged with AF. And meters are quantitative, meaning the rhythm is determined purely by the length of the syllables, the effect of any stress accent being negligible. Poetic license is most noticeable in the freedom of word order in verse. Unusual synonyms and rare words may be used to fit the sentence to the meter. Superfluous or redundant words may be inserted to fill up lines of verse, especially in declinables of merely or otherwise vague meaning. A prefix may be dropped or added where the meaning of a sentence will tolerate a slight change of nuance. Junction sandhi is more variable than prose and may be decided by metrical requirements rather than grammatical usage. Certain syllables may be lengthened or shortened to suit the rhythm of the meter. Vowels linking suffixes to roots, less often prefixes, plus final vowels are especially susceptible to this treatment, though this form of license is not of very frequent occurrence. Now we have a few examples here, poetic license, like with lengthened final, Ramati, we have from delight, we have Ramati, the third person singular, present tense. Hate, hetayati, harass, we have hetayi, it's errorist. Shortened final, gihi, for gihi, from gihin, house dwelling, Santo here short, so perhaps we should even write Santa, Buddhana. For Buddhana, we have this genitive plural, we have this in this verse. Sappatapas akarnam kusalasya basampada sachitta paryodapanam etang Buddhana sasanam Dhammapada 14.5. So 183. So abstain from all unwholesome deeds, perform wholesome ones, purify your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. Very famous example. Kamman, perhaps we should write here again short, perhaps we should write even Kamma. Chetva, for Chetva, the gerund of Chindadi, and junctions between root and suffixes lengthened. Satimanto, junctions between root and suffix is shortened. Janahi for Janahi, and junction between prefix and root lengthened. Sugating instead of Sugating. All right. Next. What do we have here? Archaic forms. Now, archaic forms are kept alive to a limited extent by being preserved in poems and songs handed down from past centuries. Though not acceptable in ordinary speech, they may be felt appropriate for poetic expression just because of their purely poetic associations. They may also be felt to have greater dignity and power than everyday forms. The obscurity which may result is not always avoided by poets. On the contrary, a certain mystification and portentousness may be deliberately sought. Hence, there are verses with a residue of ancient grammatical forms. Examples we have here: the nominative plural in ase, savakase for savaka, gatase for gata, the imperative first person plural in mu instead of ma, jane mu, the operative third person singular in e instead of ea, adise for adisea, from adis, adisati, dedicate, operative first person plural in mu instead of yama, mu, use of root aorist, for example, a third person plural in akarung for akangsu, apadung for apadingsu, another unusual aorist, abida for abindi, future of hoti, hesati for bavisati, infinitive in taye, dakitaye for daktung, gerund in tvana, rare in prose, Charitvana, Disvana, Katvana, Sutvana for Charitva, Disva, Katva, Sutva, respectively. Atanopada, the middle forms, not current in prose, Vande for Vandami, Amhase for Amha, Karomase for Karoma, Arababho for Arabatta, the imperative, Vademase for Vadeyama, Asine, the singular locative singular of the present middle participle of asati, to sit. Itself, the verb itself is almost extinct and replaced by nisat, nisitati, to sit. Moreover, the denominative, intensive, desiderative, and root aorist, which we learned, by the way, in lesson 28, 29, and 30, respectively, are more frequent in verse, where two parallel forms exist, one with assimilation and consequent obscurity, and one with a clear articulation through a linking between stem and suffix. The form with assimilation will usually be more frequent in verse and sometimes extinct in prose. A few examples: dacha. This is the optative of da, dadati, deti, from the reduplicated stem dat plus the ancient third person singular optative inflection yad. So this would be datyat in Sanskrit. Janya for Janea, Kasama for Karisama, Divya for Dippa, an ablative, Posa, interestingly enough, for Purisa, Tuvang for Twang, Duve for Dve, Adaking for Adasang, Bi for He, the instrumental plural suffix, Chavia for Chavitva, and Rama for Ramaniya. Examples of the vocabulary not used in prose: from bruti, we have the imperative second person singular, bruhi, say, call. From ramati, delight and joy, we have the present first person singular, atanopada, rame, vindati, to find, for lapati, ambuja, fish, literally waterborne, so this is a Panjami Taporisa or an Upapara. Mahi, the broad one, the earth, literally the broad one, so meaning the earth. Sura, God, for Deva, Habe, an indeclinable, truly, surely, or Be, surely. Moreover, in scanning Pali verses, the following two rules apply. A syllable having its vowel short and followed by not more than one consonant is short, lahu. A syllable having its vowel long or followed by nigahita or by more than one consonant is long, garu. More, still more complications from minor discrepancies. There are also certain complications arising from minor discrepancies between the standard orthography and the original pronunciation. These arose over variant pronunciations of the semivowels ya, ra, and va in some combinations, more rarely over the nasals. For example, charia for charia, here garu lahu. Iria, iriati for iriati, garu lahu lahu. Sirimant for Srimant, so Garu Garu, but Siri or Siri for Lahu Lahu, Garu Lahu. Vya for Via, Lahu Lahu, sometimes written as sometimes written. Velurio, this lapis lazuli, so Garu Lahu Lahu Garu. Arya, usually Garu Lahu, so Arya, or sometimes Arya, Garu Lahu Lahu. Virya, sometimes Garu Lahu Virya, but sometimes also Virya Garu Lahu Lahu, as which it is sometimes written. Suryo, sometimes Garu Garu, Suryo, but sometimes Suryo Garu Lahu Garu, which is sometimes so written. In the word Brahmana, Bra sometimes does not function as two consonants, hence a preceding syllable will be short if its vowel is short, perhaps even Brahmana, to be understood as Brahmana. Occasionally, other conjuncts also fail to make a preceding syllable long. Okay. Moreover, we have last piece left. Though all Pali meters are quantitative, a new style of poetry had come into fashion in the 5th and 4th century BC, which may be called the musical style. In the meters of this style, the opposition of long and short syllables, that one long equals two shorts, is exact and inflexible in the same way as a note and two notes of half its value in music. The new meters had in fact taken their rhythms from music. In the older meters, which remained in use, though not uninfluenced by the new, the opposition of quantities is approximate only, so that the number of syllables in a line is still felt to be of decisive importance. A verse usually contains 4 lines, padas being a quatrain, much more rarely 6 lines, and rhyme is not used. All right. It seems like I dropped the motherload of linguistics at you today in today's lesson. Just remember, we have a few things we need to keep in mind when we read poetry. Mainly, the meter overrules many things. Among others, it overrules sometimes the grammar, sometimes the word order. Poets have poetic license. Sometimes they stretch certain words, sometimes they shorten it, sometimes they delete a syllable, sometimes they add a syllable which is not there, just in order to fit the meter. Moreover, we use archaic forms which are not so much used in prose anymore, to give it a certain flavor, or again to fit the meter. And all these details I've written down in my Pali folder, by the way, in my Anki folder. So you can research this, and you don't need to learn everything by heart right now, but you can research it or you can look it up in order to have always a good overview and to keep this overview. And this will become more clear, of course, when you read more verses, more poetry. All right, today we will stop and we will continue in tomorrow for the final part of this lesson. Until then, Punata Sanaya, Tava Bhavaya, Subham Mangalam.